What is your favorite Dr. Vea memory?
I will never forget one encounter with Dr. Vea during the eulogy for his mother, Mrs. Agnes Vea, wherein during the message, I realized that the reason why Dr. Vea was so passionate and is so passionate about education is because of the influence of his mother.
I feel like my favorite Doc Vea memory was every Paskong Mapuan kasi every time na nagsispeech siya, parang the spirit of Christmas was really there since he's the leader nga of the school. In a way, it really unites the school, even the students. Parang I remember last Paskong Mapuan when he made his speech, the crowd, mostly the students, parang lahat sila hype nung speech ni Doc Vea. So, ayun, in a way, parang there's a sense of unity among the students every time he opens his mouth, parang ganon.
I think one memory which I would like to recall, and probably one of my favorite memories with Dr. Bea was when I introduced to him a colleague who is a foreigner, is an employee of a licensor which we utilize in our refinery in Bataan. I introduced foreigner to him because I would like to introduce to Mapua then the latest technologies pertaining to a refinery. So I was really glad that this idea was accepted by Dr. Bea, and that is something that I really look positively and favorably, as far as Dr. Bea is concerned.
My favorite Dr. Hea memory was during the 2022, I think that was Christmas Tree Lighting on 2022. I remember kasi host nun si Red. Lumapit ako kay Red just to check on her. Tapos kausap niya si Dr. Vea. Tapos pinicturean ko sila ni Dr. Vea. Tapos nilapitan ako ni Dr. Vea. Tapos inakbay niya ako. Tapos sabi niya kay Red, "Oh Red, do you know this guy? He is the station manager of Radio Cardinal." So that was my favorite Dr. Vea memory kasi I felt like just yung sa position ko na kilala pala ako ni Dr. Vea.
I have many happy memories about Dr. Bea, but the one that stands out and is relevant to Radio Cardinal is actually the day that I presented to him the concept of a university radio station, and he was the first to have supported it. And in fact, the idea of an internet radio came from him. What I was proposing then was an actual physical radio station, but he brought up the idea of an internet-based radio station. So, and then over the years, he has always been supportive of our activities. You're the best, Dr. Bea.
Make kwento of your first Dr. Vea encounter.
My first Dr. Vea encounter was about 3 to 4 years before I formally joined Mapua. Dr. Vea became one of my resource person for my master's thesis for Ateneo School of Government. So I was able to interview him, get input from him about stakeholder development for Intramuros.
My Doc Vea encounter was University Week last year. So that was when it was transitioning from online to face-to-face. That was the first ever concert na ginawa sa school after the pandemic. Parang medyo blurry yung pagkakalala ko kasi trabaho yung naalala ko that time. But I remember the entire concert, nagstay si Doc Vea until the end. Imagine, there were a lot of performers and it started around 4 or 5 p.m. and he stayed there until 9. Parang hindi mo talaga may imagine na sa isang ganon na nagsistay all throughout. And that was the first time that I introduced myself to Doc Vea. Yeah, it was really memorable.
If I can recall it correctly, I think the first time I met Dr. Bea was in 2010 when I was awarded then the outstanding Mapuan. Probably that's the first time I really met Dr. Bea.
Most of my encounters with Dr. Bea kasi is sa Radio Cardinal. So, my first encounter was the founding anniversary noong 2020. We had a very subtle celebration. Sumabog yung taal. Tapos, so everyone had to parang give donation. Tapos, during the foundation anniversary, nag-aalay sila ng mga bus sa bus ni Don Tomas ng mga flowers. Tapos, that day, yun din yung inauguration ng Radio Cardinal Station, yung booth namin sa my roof deck. Tapos, everyone was excited, of course. Tapos, I was tasked to be the one to escort Dr. Bea from that event to the opening of Radio Cardinal. Tapos, that was the first time I had the chance to talk with Dr. Bea. I remember na parang kinakabahan pa ako noon kasi I think every student naman parang starstruck sila kapag nakita nila yung university president. Kasi not very often na alam mo na, ang akalam natin sa mga university presidents is yung sila yung mga taong parang hindi natin parang malayo sa atin. Pero I was very shocked nung nakausap si Dr. Bea kasi he was very nice, tapos super accommodating niya, tapos siya pa yung mismo nag-initiate ng conversation.
So obviously, my first encounter with Dr. Bea dates back long before Radio Cardinal was conceived. So I remember I was a newbie in Mapua, and he was getting off his car that morning. He saw me and he intercepted me. I was on my way to the admin building, and this is what he says: "Eliza, if you have any problem, come and see me." What a wonderful way for me to begin my engagement with Mapua, to have the president saying that I can come and see him if I encountered any problem.
My first ever real FTF encounter with Dr. Bea was during Mapua Cardinal Singers concert. Tapos, I was covering that event that night. He entered the gym. I got a chance to take a pic of him. Stolen pic, actually. And also, like, alam yung with consent na pic na, "Sir, picture po," ganon. It was a very cute interaction with him, actually. Tapos, may mga kasama siya na mga kakilala niya nung nanonood ng concert. So yeah, actually, ang first ko talagang kita kay Doc Bea was during our GA sa RC. Nag-ready siya ng video speech noon na parang being grateful for RC for continuing his vision for it.
What will you miss the most about Dr. Bea?
What I will miss the most about Sir, of course, his kindness, because Dr. Bea is very down to earth. He's very approachable. So each time you need something from him, you can just knock at his office. You can just send a message through Viber, and he will reply.
I feel like the thing that I will miss the most from Doc Bea is his smile. Like every time he speaks in front, or every time that he is being greeted by his colleagues, or kahit yung posible makasalubong mo lang, the way Doc Bea's face brightens when you greet him, "Hi, Doc Bea," and then may smile na namumuo sa face niya. Hindi siya yung leader na parang very bossy. Alam mong kaya mo siyang ma-approach, kaya mo siyang i-greet when pag nakasalubong mo siya sa hallway. So, ayun. I'll definitely miss that.
What I will miss the most about Dr. Bea is really our interactions with him as alumni community and as officers and members of our alumni associations. Dr. Bea is very supportive, and very accommodating to our alumni associations and to all of us in the alumni community. And this is really something that we, are very grateful for. And this is something that we are very thankful that, somebody like Dr. Bea, the President and CEO of our alma mater, is giving due importance, to these organizations and to the entire alumni community.
How will you remember Dr. Bea other than a colleague?
Dr. Bea is not just a boss, but he is also a mentor. So he's like a second father to all of us. So he will impart on you certain words of wisdom from time to time. He's very approachable. Whenever he's in the office, if you need something from him, you can just knock on his office, or you can just send him a message on Viber, and he will definitely reply.
On several occasions that we have been meeting with Dr. Bea, one thing I notice about him is that he is very accommodating, and he has an open mind. whenever you give a thought, an idea to him, he will never blunt you in any way. He will never discourage you in any way. He will try to understand what you're telling him. In other words, he's giving you the opportunity really to air what you think, to air what you believe in, to tell him your ideas, suggestions, or proposals. He's an open-minded person.
There's one tiny bit of information, trivia, that I can share. Dr. Vea is a friend of my brother, my older brother. So, in fact, that was one of our first conversation points when Dr. Vea was interviewing me for my position. And so, since then, I have always looked up to Dr. Vea as an older brother. And that makes me a bit less tense when I have to meet him or when I have to present something to him. And he has not disappointed. I mean, he always had that aura of being an older brother without watering down his authority as the president.
Ako, going back to the story of student and of president encounter, parang nakikita ko si Dr. Vea kasi of how supportive Dr. Vea is sa mga events. Kasi since last year, since yung start ng pandemic, RC has started covering events. Tapos laging andun yung presence ni Dr. Vea. And at times, hindi naman lagi, pero tinatapos niya yung event from start hanggang pagtapos. Kasi even as students, hindi naman lahat ng student tinatapos yung event. Tapos you see na Dr. Vea, which we know na very busy, is tinatapos na event. Tapos yung last event na sinabi nga ni Sab kanina, yung Cardinal Singers concert, nakita natin yung support niya sa another institutional org, which is yung Mapua Cardinal Singers. Kasi from start to finish, andun si Dr. Vea, tapos nakaupo siya, and hindi lang siya yung nakaupo na just to be there. Talagang actively watching, actively supporting, and you can feel the support that he has for the students.
For you, what is the legacy na iiwan ni Dr. Vea in his 3 decades of leadership?
Dr. Vea's legacy can be summed up into the following. Through Dr. Vea, Mapua was able to expand and use various educational technological tools, the different platforms you use online, the different online learning tools, ebooks, all of those things. That is not just nationally recognized but internationally recognized. Second, Dr. Vea elevated the status of Mapua from an institute to a university. So Dr. Vea, in connection to the elevation of the status, Mapua gained various accreditation, both national and international, particularly first ABET accreditation in the country. He practically raised the standard of Mapua education. And of course, under Dr. Vea's watch, aside from the exponential growth of research and the research culture here in Mapua was recognized as one of the best universities of the world.
I believe Doc Vea's legacy would be the way he really relates with the students. Because may mga leaders na out of touch talaga sa students. The way he relates with the students, the way he knows what we fight for. Like, for example, when most of our students are asking for the mental health break, as student leaders, we amplify the voices of the students, and we are really grateful that we have a president that's really understanding and alam mo na uunahin yung kapakanan ng students. So I feel like that will be his legacy, and I do hope that the future student leaders would be like him as well, na laging uunahin yung students. So
Dr. Vea has a lot of legacies, but I think one of the most important and I would say prize achievement of Dr. Vea is what happened to our alma mater, Mapua University, as it is known today. I mean, Dr. Vea placed Mapua University in the world map as a world-class university. This is something really very, I think, important, as it is a prize milestone for the school, for the university, and to all of us alumni and also the students, because he placed us now in the global perspective. He placed us in the global market. So this is something, it's a manifestation of a man, who has a vision and who has the audacity to fulfill what he believes in. And for this, in fact, I would say he made us Mapuans prouder. But as an alumni, this is also something that we should think about seriously. This is something that will now tell us to take turn and also support and continuously fulfill this global recognition by way of probably applying what we learn from the school and become excellent agents of builders in our society. So again, for this, I'm really very thankful to Dr. Bea for this achievement, and we would like to thank him for this accomplishment.
For me, the legacy of Dr. Vea is the level ng Mapua before him, tapos how he elevated it to the next level. Before, Mapua was this legend na home of the best engineers in the Philippines. Mapua kasi is my dream school. So, tapos I've been in Mapua since senior high school. Dito ko lang nakita na how supportive he is. Not only sa mga student engagements, pero mga advancements natin. Naabutan ko pa yung time na Mapua Institute of Technology. I'm that old. Pero ano siya, that was the transition of Mapua Institute of Technology to Mapua University. Ngayon, eventually nakita kong yung mga advancements natin and how all of the things that we did before actually helped us to reach kung nasan tayo ngayon. So, I think everything that Dr. Vea worked hard for, yung mga ginawa niyang for the university, paid off nung mga times of crisis. Tapos, Mapua is one of the only schools na never actually stopped during the pandemic. Kasi I also, na-encounter ko din yung pandemic na yung transition from fully face-to-face to fully online. Although we have a lot of difficulties, changes in policies, pero ang hindi nagbabago is we never stop learning kasi may avenue to deliver resources or our materials. With his leadership, naging prepared tayo sa anumang struggles natin, which actually led us na maging one of the best universities in the world.
For me, I think Dr. Vea is very supportive sa student engagements and student events. I think that yun yung mag-instill sa students since students din kami. Kilala nga yung Mapua as walang bakasyon. So, I think na dito na lang nakakakuha ng enjoyment yung mga students, and I feel like dun sa pagiging supportive ni Dr. Vea, dun pa lang, isa na yung malaking factor for us. Knowing na binibigyan niya ng pansin yung mga students, not only sa mga education, sa quality education, which is good thing, but also sa mga events and activities. So, I feel like yun for me is magiging legacy and mapapasa yun through the next generation.
Dr. Vea's legacies will also be achieving the university's mission of being one of the best universities in the world. He led us to that endeavor and he helped achieve that vision.
I chose Mapua because it was known as a top engineering school. So when I was a fresh here, it was a very good online setting. Plans na ginawa nila katulad ng Blackboard and yung mga activities. For me, maaalala siya doon, lead ba sa magandang pagta-transition ng pandemic from online to slowly face-to-face. For me, maalala siya doon. For having good leadership nung time na punong-puno ng hardship lahat ng schools.
I think Dr. Vea is an academic maverick. So he's not afraid to go into uncharted territories. That's why all of these things that the four of you have mentioned, these came to fruition. So yeah, aside from the digital day, meron pa siyang digital rush. And then he was also the mind behind other developments in Mapua. For example, UOX, yung ubiquitous online classes. And then, of course, the very first new thing he introduced is the quarter system. And because of that quality, one is always challenged to push the boundaries also of one's, to go out of one's, that comfort zone. No? And he makes you think that, yeah, you can do more, you can give more. No? So, not to be afraid of new things. Apart from that, another legacy of Dr. Vea is for us to not want to stop learning. There are always new things to discover, and a man who is very innovative, and I guess he had passed it on to those who have been working closely with him. And so we know that new things, better things are in the offing.
Can you describe Dr. Vea in one word?
Best describe Dr. Vea is that he's a visionary leader.
Bright.
A visionary.
Awe-inspiring.
Innovative.
Greatness.
Excellence. Empathetic.